Greetings, everyone. Well, the 50th anniversary celebrations of Doctor Who continue unabated. Today I wanted to talk about the two mini-episodes that preceded the Day of the Doctor 50th anniversary special, because they're not insignificant. In fact, I'd say one of them is one of the most significant pieces of Doctor Who television that we've had in years. Just 6 little minutes that have changed everything. I'm of course talking about the Night of the Doctor, and then it was followed up a few days later by the Last Day, both of which preceded the events of the special. And well, the Night of the Doctor in particular presented some pretty crucial information to the story and to Doctor Who lore in general. We'll talk about that in a minute, today on the Multimedia Chronicles. Welcome back. Oh, there's very few times where I will literally squee with excitement, but the Night of the Doctor, I just about jumped out of my seat. I was so overjoyed. There's, there's this wonderful moment at the beginning where the woman, there's this woman who's flying a spaceship. The spaceship's crashing. You see the TARDIS flying in, so you're like, oh yeah, the Doctor's going to come and rescue her. But of course we don't know which Doctor it's going to be, because we know that the 50th anniversary is going to be a multi-Doctor event and stuff like that. So she's saying that she needs help, she needs assistance, and the stupid ship's computer keeps saying, what type of doctor do you require? Do you require medical assistance? And he's like, stop talking about doctors. And then you hear this voice from off screen says, I'm a doctor. And as soon as I heard that voice, I knew who it was. And I just about jumped out of my skin. I was just like, oh my god, because this particular doctor is probably most well known for the audio adventures that he's been doing, because sadly he didn't get a lot of screen time. I'm of course talking about Doctor number 8, Paul McGann, who after literally 17 years at last returned to our television screens for this little mini episode. How cool is that? They got Doctor number 8 back on our screens, even if it's just for a little 6-minute mini episode. It was like one of the most exciting moments in New Who for me personally, just to see Paul McGann back on screen. I mean, he really got shafted, because first off, the TV movie wasn't that good. It has its moments for sure. I love that Sylvester McCoy comes back to pass the torch and stuff like that. But really, the 8th Doctor is only actually on screen for about 2/3 of it. So, like, less than an hour he's on screen, and half of that is in the post-regenerative days. So he didn't get a lot of time to really be the Doctor. It wasn't until a few years later when Paul McGann started doing the audio adventures, and we actually got proper continuing adventures of the 8th Doctor, that people began to realize, like, damn, he's good. Like, he's really good. And it would be wonderful to see him back on screen again as the Doctor. So finally, after 17 years, we got what we've been wishing for all this time. And in that 6 minutes, there is so much stuff that happens. It's crazy. In addition to the 8th Doctor returning, we also have... where is it here? I just gotta find it. I know I have it. There it is. We also have the Sisterhood of Karn, last seen in 1976 in the brain of Morbius. Now, the Sisterhood of Karn are pretty important to Doctor Who lore, because they are the keepers of the flame of eternal life, and the flame of eternal life burns in this cavern and kind of melts the rock around the flame and creates these drippings that they then capture and the essence of these drippings is distilled to become the Elixir of Life. And the Elixir of Life is part of the Time Lord's secret to regeneration. It's basically part of the regenerative process, and they've had a close relationship with the Time Lords for quite some time. But we haven't seen them since the Brain of Morbius. I mean, they were pretty important to classic Who lore, and it was nice to see them come back. So essentially what happens is the Doctor is trying to rescue this woman from the crashing spaceship, but when she realizes that he's a Time Lord, she doesn't want to have anything to do with him, because this is right in the middle of the Time War. This little story takes place at the peak of the Time War, and so he's trying to rescue her, but she doesn't want to go with him. She locks the door and won't let him in, and she's willing to die rather than go off with him, just because the Time Lords are seen as the big assholes of the universe at that point in time. They got their war going on with the Daleks, and they're literally wiping out all of space and time. So it's a big deal. So he's trying to convince her to come with her. She won't come with him. He basically goes down with the ship with her. There's nothing he can do. And they both die. So the Sisterhood recovers the bodies and informs him that, and he's like, oh, I survived. Thanks for bringing me back to life. And they're like, no, we didn't bring you back to life. You're actually dead. You've only got a few minutes left. We just brought you back for this short time so you could make the decision if you want to help or not. Essentially, they feel that he's the only hope to stopping the Time War. So they offer him a choice, basically, that he can regenerate into whatever form he wants. He can be young or old, fat or thin, man or woman, whatever he wants. So he basically says, make me a warrior. He says, I guess the world doesn't need a doctor anymore, so make me a warrior. So the leader of the Sisterhood gives him a special elixir, and then he regenerates into John Hurt, who we finally learn is called the War Doctor. So we finally get a term for John Hurt's Doctor. He's not just the Doctor, he's the War Doctor. Or some fans have said they don't like that name so much, and they prefer to just call him the Warrior, which, that kind of makes sense too. Whatever your preference, basically. Don't call him the Doctor, he's the Warrior or the War Doctor. But here's the thing that was interesting about that, is just as he's about to drink the elixir, he toasts his companions of the past. And the companions he toasts by name, well, we have Grace, of course, from the movie, but then he toasts like Lucy and Charlie and Kiriz, who are all companions that have only ever appeared in the audio adventures. Now, this is an official part of the television canon, this mini-episode. This is a crucial part of the story leading up to the Day of the Doctor. This is official canon, this mini-episode, okay? So let that sink in for a moment. In official television canon, they just made reference to the audio adventures. So you know what that means? In case you need me to spell it out for you, it means the audio adventures, the Big Finish audio adventures, are now officially canon. Now, there's still a little bit of debate about it. It's like, well, does that just apply to the 8th Doctor adventures? Because to sort of make up for the fact that his adventures have never been on screen? Or does it apply to all of the Big Finish audio adventures? Because the Big Finish audio adventures all feature previous Doctors, Doctors 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And in terms of when they're set in the timeline, they're all set in between the television stories. So they actually slot into the continuity quite neatly. So my thinking is, because they made the 8th Doctor's adventures officially canon now, I figure, well, as far as I'm concerned, that makes all of them canon. Done. And I'm quite okay with that. So, needless to say, I mean, I've been wanting to collect the Big Finish adventures for a while. I have heard a few of them online before, and they're really, really well done. Just amazingly well done. Well written, well acted, just great stories. And they follow the same structure as the old Doctor Who series, so it's a series of serialized stories. So they're usually 4-parters, just like the old shows, and it's great stuff. So needless to say, after the DVD collection is complete, I'm going to focus on those big finished audio adventures, because I've been wanting to collect them for ages, so definitely want to get those going. So, yeah, needless to say, the Night of the Doctor just freaking blew me away. Absolutely blew me away. In that 6 minutes of mini episode, I mean, we got the return of the Sisterhood of Karn, so that's a nice nod to classic Who. We got Paul McGann, the 8th Doctor, back on screen, and we made all of his audio adventures canon. And we got a crucial piece of the Time War story, and finally got to see him regenerate. So we actually have a proper regeneration from the 8th Doctor into the Warrior, or the War Doctor, whatever you want to call him. The John Hurt Doctor. Yeah. It's like the Hurt Doctor. You know, like the Hurt Locker, but it's the Hurt Doctor. Yeah, okay, lame joke. So, yeah, absolutely amazing. I lost count of how many times I rewatched that thing. And the fan response to it was just overwhelming. Almost immediately, the fan boards were just ablaze with, for God's sake, give him a prequel series. You know, there's currently no Doctor Who spin-offs on the air. We used to have Torchwood at Sarah Jane Adventures and K9 all running parallel to or before or after every season of Doctor Who. Well, K9 only ran one season, but you know what I mean. Like, there was spin-offs galore for the first few years, though, there. And we had Doctor Who Confidential as a, you know, ongoing behind-the-scenes thing as well. So there's just tons of Doctor Who on television for a very long time there, the first few years. And now there's just the main show, and even then we're getting like split seasons now, so we're not seeing as much per year as we were before. That's kind of annoying. So it would be great. I would love to see like a spin-off series. I mean, the best rationale I heard for it was from another fan who said, well, it's a show about time travel. It's non-linear. Why does it have to? Why do the stories have to be linear as well? Why can't we have a series about a past Doctor running concurrently or in between the seasons with the current Doctor? You know, I would be all over that, man. I would love to see that. I mean, even if it's just a mini series or something, you know, of the later adventures of the 8th Doctor or something leading up to that fateful night on Karn, you know, where he ended up having to regenerate and go off to fight in the Time War. But it was great to get that piece of the story finally, and for him to have a proper regeneration. Yeah, I mean, the assumption had always been that the 8th Doctor had been the one to fight in the Time War, and that he just, you know, got mortally wounded at some point, presumably when he used the moment to destroy Gallifrey. And then we know that didn't play out exactly the way we thought it did now, but and then just regenerated into Christopher Eccleston, but that's not how it happened at all. He regenerated into John Hurt first, and then John Hurt regenerates into Christopher Eccleston. But yeah, so then after that, a few days later, we had another mini episode entitled "The Last Day," and it was basically a POV kind of video, where we were seeing through the eyes of a Time Lord soldier, basically, new recruits, being as part of the what the heck did they call it? The Sky Trench. That's what it was. The Sky Trench, which you got they didn't really explain what the Sky Trench was, but you kind of got the impression it was like a defensive barrier up in the sky somewhere. So they were keeping an eye out for incoming Daleks, essentially, because they said, don't let any Daleks through, because even one Dalek could destroy the city. And they were trying to defend Arcadia, which is one of the big cities on Gallifrey, with where most of the innocent people lived, like the civilians and whatnot. so they're defending the Sky Trench, keeping a lookout for Daleks, and he said, "Don't even let one Dalek through." And then they're looking through the scope, and they see one Dalek. He's like, "Look, there's a Dalek. There's one Dalek. Go, destroy it. Shoot it out of the sky." And then the camera pulls back, and there's thousands of them, all descending on Arcadia. And the laser fire starts up, exterminate, and the camera goes dead, and that's the end of the episode. Now, as a standalone little piece of gloom and doom, The fall of Arcadia, the fall of Gallifrey. It's not a bad little piece. Some fans complained that it felt kind of like it was just a first-person shooter. You know, they felt like they were watching Call of Duty Doctor Who edition. And plus, it's a shorter mini episode. It's only a couple minutes long. And honestly, after the sheer epicness of the Night of the Doctor, there's no way that could be a suitable follow-up to it. I mean, honestly, I think The Last Day should have been first, and then Night of the Doctor should have been second. But I saw an interview with Paul McGann a couple days after Night of the Doctor premiered, and he said it was actually supposed to go out the following week, but somebody was, there was some pictures that had leaked online, apparently, and they were afraid that the episode was going to get leaked, so they decided to just release it ahead of schedule. Now, funny enough, it kind of worked out in a way, because the day it was released, it was November 14th, was also Paul McGann's birthday. So it was a nice little birthday present for him. And he said how he was having a lot of fun, basically having to be deliberately deceitful and try to keep the secret that he was coming back. I mean, obviously you want to tell people, but they wanted it to be a surprise, and it totally took me by surprise. I had no idea that he was coming back, and that made it the perfect moment. You know, as soon as he showed up, I was just beside myself with joy. So yeah, you can find Night of the Doctor and The Last Day on YouTube. You can actually find them on the official BBC YouTube page, and I think it's on the Doctor Who YouTube page as well. That's just, you know, YouTube/BBC or YouTube/Doctor Who, one word. You should also check out BBC America has a YouTube page as well, and they had a lot of stuff this month about Doctor Who on there as well. And that's just, again, YouTube/BBC America TV. So all one word, BBC America TV. So check those 3 channels out. You'll find lots of Doctor Who goodies on there, including those 2 mini episodes in glorious 1080p. Enjoy. Alrighty, well, that is it from me to you for now. That's the mini episodes in a nutshell. So I guess next time we'll talk about the Day of the Doctor. Yeah, the big 50th anniversary special. What did I think of it? Well, kind of a mixed bag, to be honest. But as to specifics, you'll have to wait until next time. Till then, thanks for watching, and sayonara.